You're being born into a freezer, not the one in your kitchen. This freezer is the Arctic, the coldest and most unforgiving place on Earth, and cold enough to freeze exposed skin in seconds. And yet, this is where your life begins. You're not born a bold predator. You're far from it. You're a blind, hairless, and completely helpless. You don't even realize yet that the cold could be your greatest enemy, or your greatest ally. All you know is the warmth of your mother's fur as she curls around you, shielding you from the deadly frost outside. Outside your snow den, the Arctic is anything but kind. It's a place of endless ice, howling winds, and a hunger that never ends, for predator and prey alike. But for now, you don't know any of that. You don't even know you're part of one of nature's greatest survival stories. For your mother, though, every second counts. She hasn't eaten in months. She's running on reserves, sacrificing her own body to give you the best chance at life. Her heartbeat is your lullaby, her warmth, your lifeline. You might be small, but in this moment, you are her entire world. Fast forward to spring. The sun finally returns after the months of darkness, and your mom decides it's time to leave the den. You've spent your whole life in a comfy, snow-covered bubble, but that changes today. Your tiny paws touch snow, and oops, you faceplant into the icy fluff. It's cold, soft, and a little weird, but there's no time to dwell on it. Mom's already a few steps ahead, and you scramble to keep up, tripping and sliding along the way. As you take your first real look at the Arctic, it's almost too much to take in. The world stretches endlessly in every direction. A dazzling white landscape under a piercing blue sky. It's breathtakingly beautiful. Like here, beauty hides danger. For you, a tiny cub, the rules are simple. Eat or be eaten. And right now, the odds aren't in your favor. You're small, inexperienced, and far from the top of the food chain. But you have one advantage. A mother who's determined to teach you everything she knows. And trust me, you'll need every lesson to make it out here. Lesson 1. Seals are your golden tickets to life. Without them, you don't stand a chance. Your mom leads you to the frozen ocean, where seals hide beneath thick layers of ice. She sniffs the snow like a detective, searching for the faint scent of a seal's breathing hole. These holes are tiny, just big enough for a seal to poke its nose out for air. But finding one is only half the battle. You watch as your mom settles into position, motionless as a statue. Her patience is legendary. She can wait for hours, sometimes even days, for a seal to surface. You try to copy her, crouching low and pretending to stalk the hole, but your cub brain isn't built for focus yet. Within minutes, you're distracted by a snowflake drifting past, and oops, there you go, tumbling into the snow again. Mom doesn't even flinch. She's laser-focused, every muscle coiled like a spring. Suddenly, a seal breaks the surface, and in a lightning-fast move, she pounces. Splash, it's over in seconds. You're shocked. This isn't just a hunt, it's an art form. For now, you're just an observer. One day, this skill will mean the difference between life and death. But for now, your biggest challenge is figuring out how not to trip over your own paws. And here's a harsh reality. Most polar bear cubs don't survive their first year. And the biggest reason? Starvation. The Arctic might look like a magical snow-covered world, but it's no picnic. Food is hard to find, and every single bite matters. For a little cub, missing just one meal could mean the difference between life and death. And then, there's an even bigger problem. Climate change every year. The ice melts faster and takes longer to return. Imagine trying to live on a melting raft, with your food always drifting further away. Seals, your main food source, are becoming harder to catch because the ice they need to rest and raise their young is disappearing. No ice means no hunting, and no hunting means no food. Every step on the ice is a risk, and every swim in the freezing water is a desperate search for something to eat. As a young polar bear, your first steps into this icy world are steps into one of the hardest survival challenges on the planet. Fast forward a couple of years, and you're officially a teenage polar bear. But don't let the title fool you. It's not glamorous, nope. It's awkward, messy, and full of failures. Here's the deal. Mom's gone. She's done her job. And now it's up to you to fend for yourself. Suddenly, the vast Arctic feels a lot bigger and lonelier. You try to remember everything she taught you, but hunting seals is way harder than she made it look. Your first few solo attempts, let's just say they're less National Geographic documentary and more failure. You crouch by a breathing hole, just like Mom used to do, but your timing is off. You pounce too soon, landing flat on your belly with a thud. The seal, long gone, probably laughing all the way back to the ocean. Desperate, you try other strategies. Chasing birds, too quick. Scavenging leftovers from other predators, risky. You don't want to end up in a fight you can't win. At one point, you even dig through the snow hoping for some buried treasure. Spoiler, no treasure, just disappointment. It's a humbling experience, this whole learning to survive thing. But slowly, you start to get the hang of it. You learn patience. You learn to move quietly, to let the ice and snow hide you. Sure, you still mess up, a lot, but every failure teaches you something. And out here, lessons are the one thing you can't afford to skip. Life as a polar bear isn't all about survival. Even in the frozen Arctic, there's room for a little fun. Just say you're at the top of a snowy hill, and instead of walking down like a grown-up, you flop on your belly and slide all the way down. It's like sledding without a sled. And for you, it's one of the best ways to enjoy a snowy day. Who says bears don't know how to have fun? But in the Arctic, even fun can be risky. That snow hill you just slid down, it might lead to thin ice or a patch of open water. And in these icy lands, one wrong move isn't just a little mistake. It could cost you your life. Still, these playful moments are what keep life exciting. For a polar bear, every slide, leap, or sniff of curiosity carries a sense of danger. But maybe that's what makes the joy so much sweeter. Even in one of the harshest places on Earth, there's always time to play. When you're old enough, it's time to answer nature's call, finding a mate. In the vast Arctic, this isn't as simple as swiping right. First, you have to track her down. The Arctic is massive, and polar bears are solitary creatures, so just finding a potential mate can feel like searching for a needle in a snowy haystack. But when you do find her, that's where the real work begins. Winning her over is no easy task. You have to show patience and persistence. You'll spend time together, walking across the ice, sniffing the air, and getting to know each other. It's like Arctic dating, slow and steady, with no room for rushing. If she's impressed, she'll let you stick around. If not, well, you have to search of another chance at love. But when it works, it's worth the effort. After courting your mate, your journey together is short but meaningful. In the harsh Arctic, polar bears don't settle down and form lifelong bonds. After spending some time together, it's time to part ways. Your mate will go off to find a safe den to give birth to cubs, while you resume your solitary life, roaming the ice in search of food and survival. Years pass, and life doesn't get any easier. As an adult polar bear, you've seen it all. Icy storms, close calls with starvation, and endless days of searching for seals. The Arctic has always been unforgiving, but now it's changing faster than ever. The ice you once walked on confidently is now melting beneath your paws. Summers are longer, the ice breaks up earlier, and seals are harder to catch. You find yourself swimming for miles, pushing your limits just to find solid ground. The hunts that were once challenging are now nearly impossible. Old age begins to catch up with you. Your once strong muscles aren't as powerful as they used to be, and your keen senses start to dull. You've lived a life of resilience, adapting to everything nature threw your way. But in the Arctic, time is rarely kind. One day, after a long, exhausting journey across melting ice, you lie down to rest. The Arctic wind howls, and the snow blankets your tired body. This frozen land, where you were born and where you fought for every meal, becomes your final resting place.